Church family, what's going on? My name is Chris Norris. I'm the online site pastor here at McLean Church Online. Glad to be with you today. So excited that you made church a priority. Again, whether you're catching us on YouTube or joining us at church online on a Sunday morning or a Saturday night. It doesn't matter how you found us. We're glad that you're here. We've got a special service in store for you today. You know, we're in the middle of our series. Actually, we're wrapping up our series, Hope in the Dark. And I think about people who might be going through a season of loneliness, maybe the loss of a loved one, maybe they're just in a weird place. I know I kind of felt like this sometimes when, my second child was born. There were long days and long nights, and I kind of got this weird sense of loneliness, even when I had my family around me. It's just a strange place to be. But oftentimes I think that God puts us in those lonely seasons, those lonely moments, because He wants us to really lean in to hearing His voice. I read from our YouVersion Bible app study that we're going through this week. I encourage you to follow along, download the Bible app, search for McLean Church, and join our study that coincides very closely with our teaching series, Hope in the Dark. It said this: maybe loneliness isn't God taking something away from us, but giving us something we didn't even know we need, right? And I think about Jesus spent a lot of time in solitude, right? He spent a lot of time on his own, in a quiet place, just seeking the presence of his Father. We read from Luke chapter 5, verse 16, but Jesus often withdrew to the wilderness to pray. We read from Mark 1:35. Before daybreak the next morning, Jesus got up and went out to an isolated place to pray. You know, we don't always have to go to an isolated place. Maybe, again, sitting with our family or being at work around 100 people, we still feel isolated. And in those moments, I would encourage you just to take that as an opportunity to lean closer, to be closer, to be surrounded by the one that loves you most and the one that maybe walked you into that loneliness so that He could have your undivided attention. So remember, loneliness might not feel great, but it could be a good place for you to really feel the presence of God. And make plans to join us next week for communion here at McLean Church online and in person. We have a special service planned for you. We're calling it Catching Up with Our Community because, as you can probably remember if you joined us a few months ago, Pastor Brian explained to us that's what communion is all about. When our church comes together in community with one another as the body of Christ. And yes, we share a meal together, we share that special time together, but also it's a great opportunity for us to remember that we are a community. And in this discussion led by Pastor Brian Kelly, myself, Pastor Lenora, and Pastor Mike, talk about what's happening in each of our own respective communities. So for us, what we're doing here at McLean Church Online, for Lenora and Mike, what's happening at their physical locations. And I don't care if you join us from Texas or Germany, it's a great opportunity for you to hear about all the amazing things happening across all of our locations that you, as the community of McLean Church, are a part of. So make plans to join us next week here at McLean Church Online for that special community conversation. For our local folks that might be interested in taking part in some of our in-person events coming up at McLean Church, so much happening this fall as we head into the holiday season. We've got an acoustic overflow worship night coming up on Friday, November 3rd at 7 p.m. at our Union City site. Then we've got Rock Solid Finance. That's going to be a very helpful course for many of us. That's going to be on Saturday, November 4th at our Edinburgh site from 9 to 2. Really a great opportunity to get control of what God has given you in your finances for your family and in your personal life. And then coming up in November, on Saturday, November 11th, Surviving the Holidays. This is a grief share event all about how to navigate a difficult time of year for so many who are dealing with grief that is fresh or grief that is many years old. It doesn't matter. The holidays are a difficult time to get through that, and this class and this opportunity is a great way to come together with other folks that might be going through that season, perhaps a season of loneliness like we just talked about at the top of the service here, and figure out how to navigate that through the will and the power of God. And then lastly, New Parents Rejoice child dedication coming up once again. It's been almost 6 months since our last child dedication. I would know this because my daughter was there. But our next opportunity to dedicate your child in front of the church is the weekend of November 18th and 19th at our Edinburgh and Union City locations. More information about that monumental weekend is on our website at mcleanchurch.org, along with all of these other great events that you can be a part of. Church community, are you ready to worship? Let's do this.
Hello, McLean Church, and welcome. We are thrilled to be worshiping with you wherever you are right now. Would you please lift up your hearts and voices as we sing the words of the prayer that Jesus gave to us? Father, let your kingdom come. Father, let your will be done on earth as in heaven, right here in my heart. Father, let your kingdom come. Father, let your will be done on earth as in heaven, right here in my heart. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us as we forgive the ones who sinned against us. Forgive them and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Let your kingdom come. Father, let your kingdom come. Father, let your will be done on earth as in heaven. Let it be done right here in my heart. Father, let your kingdom come. Father, let your will be done on earth as in heaven, right here in my heart. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us, as we forgive the ones who sinned against us. Forgive them, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Let your kingdom come. It's yours, it's yours, all yours, all yours. Your kingdom, the power, the glory are yours. It's yours, it's yours, all yours, forever and ever. The kingdom is yours. It's yours, it's yours, all yours, the kingdom, the power, the glory are yours. It's yours, it's yours, all yours, forever and ever. The kingdom is yours. Father, let your kingdom come. Father, let your will be done on earth as in heaven, right here in my heart. Father, let your kingdom come. Father, let your will be done on earth as in heaven, right here in my heart. On earth as in heaven, right here in my heart. In Luke 15, we hear the parable of the lost sheep, where it's written, tax collectors and other notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus teach. This made the Pharisees and teachers of religious law complain that he was associating with such sinful people, even eating with them. So Jesus told them this story. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together his friends and neighbors, saying, rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep. In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. Mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I found, leaves the 99. I could not, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of
Well, welcome everyone as we come to the end of our Hope in the Dark series, 4 weeks that we've spent in this wonderful little book at the end of the Old Testament, the book of Habakkuk. And Habakkuk has modeled for us how we grow in a more authentic faith. And today we're going to see Habakkuk teach us how we find a meaningful and lasting hope at times when life doesn't seem to have any hope or life doesn't seem to make any sense. You know, I think our faith, like any living thing, goes through stages of development. If you think about it, I think for most of us, our faith starts out in what we could call an idealistic state or phase. This is when faith is new to us, when our understanding of God maybe first really awakens or comes alive. And in this early idealistic stage, everything is nice and neat. It fits in clear categories. Everything in life seems to make sense to us or work in particular ways. This is the phase of faith that we might say is best represented by Josiah. And remember, at the time Habakkuk is writing, Josiah has just led the nation in a huge revival, a huge reform. There's a lot of enthusiasm during Josiah's reign about this newly discovered or rediscovered faith, particularly the terms of the Sinai covenant as expressed in the book of Deuteronomy. And in this early idealistic stage of faith, again, there's a lot of belief that if we just do all the right things, then all the right things, or the things that we think are the right things, all those will happen for us. Again, you often see this in people who are brand new to faith. You see this oftentimes in the enthusiasm and sometimes unthoughtful approaches as people who are first embracing faith try to live it out or make sense of it in the real world. I think as people continue in their faith, and remember Jesus taught in the parable of the sower that not everyone does, but as people continue to grow in their faith, at some point they arrive at what we could call a disillusionment phase. Again, disillusionment is this idea of realizing something isn't as bright, shiny, or good as we thought it was. So you take a new job and you think it's going to be the greatest thing in the world for your life. At some point you realize it's not. We say that's a point of disillusionment, where you realize what you had envisioned isn't quite the reality, or maybe you're in a relationship that you think is going to be the end-all and be-all of relationships in your life, and at some point you realize, not quite what you expected. We say at that moment you become disillusioned with your relationship. I think all people, as they grow in their faith, reach a point of disillusionment with it, where they begin to realize it doesn't always quite work the way we think it should or want it to. And again, I think this would be represented by Habakkuk, particularly in chapter 1, where Habakkuk cries out, how long and why, God? Why is this going on? Why do the wicked seem to prevail against the righteous? Maybe it really shows up in chapter 2, verse 1, when Habakkuk says, I'm going to make my complaint to God, and I'm going to stand here with my arms folded, waiting to see if he's got a good response. I think all healthy faith moves at some point from this idealized understanding to this moment of disillusionment. And if faith continues to grow in a healthy way, I do think eventually it emerges out of this disillusioned point to what we could call a maturing point, or a maturing moment. And I use the active form of the word because I think a healthy faith, it's always maturing, it's always growing. We never reach this point where we've arrived, where we stop growing in our understanding and deepening of our faith. And we're going to see today that this is really represented by Habakkuk in the prayer he offers in chapter 3. But to get to this point, this maturing point, Habakkuk has to hear and understand what God has to say in chapter 2. And that's what we want to look at today primarily, and then we'll conclude with a quick glance at chapter 3 as Habakkuk's maturing faith is revealed to us. So remember, the context of this is, at the beginning of chapter 2, Habakkuk says, I will stand at my watchpost and station myself on the rampart. I will keep watch to see what he will say to me and what he will answer concerning my complaint. Habakkuk has raised some serious charges against God in chapter 1, as Habakkuk's faith starts to show this evidence of disillusionment with God, Habakkuk has the wisdom to talk to God about it. Not to shut down, not to go inside, but to speak to God concerning the things that don't make sense to him, the things that he's upset about. And he talks about them in chapter 1. Now he stands, arms folded, waiting to see what God will say in response. And God has a lot to say in response. Listen to the beauty of the poetry of the imagery in God's response as we work our way through chapter 2, beginning in verse 2. Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain on tablets so that a runner may read it. For there is still a vision for the appointed time. It speaks of the end and does not lie. If it seems to tarry, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. What does God begin with? He begins with an affirmation that one, something bigger is going on here. Something bigger is going on. Write a vision. Make it plain on tablets. There's a vision for the appointed time. It seems to tarry. Wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. God has dialed down his response. In chapter 1, he was a bit snippy back to Habakkuk. Yes, you think it's bad. It's going to get worse. But now in chapter 2, God begins to explain. There's something bigger happening here. There's something greater at work. What is it? Verse 4, look at the proud. Their spirits are not right in them, but the righteous live by faith. Moreover, wealth is treacherous. The arrogant do not endure. They open their throats wide as Sheol. Like death, they never have enough. They gather all nations for themselves. They collect people as their own. Look at the proud. The spirit is not right within them. The righteous live by faith. Wealth is treacherous. The arrogant do not endure. Something's going to happen with the people who are oppressing, who are causing this problem or these problems, both inside and outside of ancient Israel. Now, 5 woes are going to follow. 5 pronouncements of judgment against the people who are causing such suffering for the nation of ancient Israel. Verse 6, shall not everyone taunt such people and with mocking riddles say about them, alas for you who heap up what is not your own. How long will you load yourselves up with goods taken in pledge? Will not your own creditors suddenly rise, and those who make you tremble wake up? Then you will be booty for them, because you have plundered many nations. All that survive of the people shall plunder you, because of human bloodshed and violence to the earth, to cities and all who live in them. This first woe. All you have plundered will plunder you. The second woe, verse 9, alas for you, get evil gain for your house, setting your nest on high to be safe from the reach of harm. You have devised shame for your house by cutting off many peoples. You have forfeited your life. The very stones will cry out from the wall, and the plaster respond from the woodwork. Oh my gosh. You've built your house by injustice. Now even your house, the physical dwelling that you constructed, is going to revolt against you. The third woe, alas for you who built a town by bloodshed and found a city on iniquity. Is it not from the Lord of hosts that peoples labor only to feed the flames, and nations weary themselves for nothing? But the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Oh, you're building a town for yourself. but God will ultimately prevail over your present works. The next judgment, alas for you who make your neighbors drink, pouring out your wrath until they are drunk in order to gaze on their nakedness. You will be sated with contempt instead of glory. Drink you yourself and stagger. The cup in the Lord's right hand will come around to you, and shame will come upon your glory. For violence done to Lebanon will overwhelm you. The destruction of the animals will terrify you because of human bloodshed and violence to the earth, to the cities and all who live in them. Final pronouncement, what use is an idol once its maker has shaped it, a cast image, a teacher of lies? For its maker trusts in what has been made, though the product is only an idol that cannot speak. Alas for you who say to the wood, wake up, to the stone, rouse yourself. Can it teach? See, it is gold and silver plated, and there is no breath in it at all. The nations that are causing such strife for ancient Israel, who worship idols, they'll ultimately come to the realization or be shown by God that their idols are nothing. What is chapter 2 about? It's about reminding Habakkuk and the ancient Israelites that there's something bigger going on, that God is at work, and that two, it works out in the end. It works out in the end. The nations that have been causing such problems for ancient Israel, namely the ancient nation of Babylon, and the people within Israel itself who have been causing problems for their own countrymen, particularly probably through their economic injustice. These people are going to get their due. Justice is ultimately going to prevail. Right is ultimately going to be done. The oppressed are ultimately going to be vindicated according to this vision God reveals to Habakkuk. Throughout the biblical record, these two notions are prevalent. That behind the scenes there's something bigger in operation, and that bigger thing is working for the good of all humanity and all creation. And ultimately, what's bigger going on behind the scenes will bring about goodness in the end. This is not the simplistic, idealistic formula that maybe Josiah had in mind when he urged the people to return to the covenant so that everything would work out as it should. This is a deeper, more mature understanding which results in a conclusion that might look like this. Life is more mysterious than mathematical. Life's more mysterious than mathematical. Habakkuk is learning that it always doesn't work in the moment the way one would expect or want it to. But there is a bigger purpose or plan that is prevailing, that somehow in the mystery of God's interaction with reality leads one to a place of confidence and security, so that chapter 2 can end with these words, "The Lord is in His holy temple. Let the earth keep silence before Him." The earth is in its the Lord is in His holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before Him. Somehow, as Habakkuk comes to realize these two things, he becomes more content in the mystery. I might not understand it. 2 plus 2 doesn't always equal 4 in life. But somehow in the mystery there is peace and there is security. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. I can breathe. I can be still. I can rest because somehow I know that there's something bigger going on, that somehow it works out in the end. And this leads me to live comfortably into the mystery if life doesn't always work by the math. Point 2 is not some simplistic truism. It's rather a realization of a greater good, a greater purpose that is happening throughout the fiber of the universe. It's what Jesus will model in his own death and resurrection, that somehow in God and made explicit through Jesus Christ, even the greatest point of life's disillusionment, death, gets turned around back into life, into a greater life, a greater good somehow. Somehow it works out in the end. As Habakkuk begins to grapple with these truths and realities, he shares with us his conclusions and his insights in a wonderful prayer that he offers in chapter 3 of the book. Listen to the prayer as I read it, and again, let the poetry, let the imagery speak to your own mind and heart. Chapter 3 begins a prayer of Habakkuk according to the Shigionoth. And the Shigionoth term, we don't know what it means. So, some people take it to be maybe an instrument, a musical term. Others suggest it's some type of liturgical term. Bottom line, we just don't know. Habakkuk prays, O Lord, I've heard of your renown and I stand in awe, O Lord, of your work. Again, this is Habakkuk who, at the end of chapter 1, beginning of chapter 2, is arms folded across his chest saying, answer me this. God responds in chapter 2, and now a more mature Habakkuk says, O Lord, I've heard of your renown and I stand in awe, O Lord, of your work. In our own time, revive it. In our own time, make it known. In wrath, may you remember mercy. God came from Teman, the Holy One from Mount Paran. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. The brightness was like the sun rays came forth from his hand, where his power lay hidden. Before him went pestilence, and plague followed close behind. He stopped and shook the earth. He looked and made the nations tremble. The eternal mountains were shattered along his ancient pathways. The everlasting hills sank low. I saw the tents of Cushan under affliction. The tent curtains of the land of Midian trembled. Was your wrath against the rivers, O Lord, or your anger against the rivers, or your rage against the sea when you drove your horses, your chariots to victory? You brandished your naked bow, sated were your arrows at your command. You split the earth with rivers, the mountains saw you and writhed, the torrent of water swept by. The deep gave forth its voice, the sun raised high its hands, the moon stood still in its exalted place, at the light of your arrows speeding by, at the gleam of your flashing spear. In fury you trod the earth, in anger you trampled nations. You came forth to save your people, to save your anointed. You crushed the head of the wicked house, laying it bare from the foundation to the roof. You pierced with their own arrows the head of his warriors, who came like a whirlwind to scatter us. gloating as if ready to devour the poor who were in hiding. You trampled the sea with your horses, churning the mighty rivers. I hear and I tremble within. My lips quiver at the sound. Rottenness enters into my bones, and my steps tremble beneath me. I wait quietly for the day of calamity to come upon the people who attack us. Using a lot of mixed imagery here, from creation to warfare. Habakkuk expresses in this beautiful poem, this beautiful prayer, his understanding that God is at work, that justice is ultimately going to be done, that God's people, the people of ancient Judah, are going to be vindicated. And so he concludes, verse 17, though the fig tree does not blossom and no fruit is on the vines, though the produce of the olive fails and the fields yield no food, though the flock is cut off from the fold and there is no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will exalt in the God of my salvation. God, the Lord, is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer and makes me tread upon the heights. And the prayer is concluded to the leader with stringed instruments. No doubt an indication that this prayer, this poem, was meant to be used regularly by the Israelites in worship. Though the fig tree does not blossom and no fruit is on the vines, though the produce of the olive fails and the fields yield no food, though the flock is cut off from the fold and there is no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will exalt in the God of my salvation. God, the Lord, is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer and makes me tread upon the heights. As we enter this maturing stage of our faith, these are the perspectives we come to, aren't they? Life isn't necessarily working out the way I think it should. The things I want to see are not happening in the moment. And yet, though the outward appearance of things is not what I want, expect, or think should be, I am still able to rejoice in the Lord and exalt in the God of my salvation, because God the Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. It makes me tread upon the heights. Somehow in this maturing of faith, passing through the stages of disillusionment and idealism, we come to this quiet place of rest and confidence that somehow there's something bigger going on, that somehow it's all going to work out in the end, but we embrace the fact that life is more mystery than math. 4 verses out of this ancient text that I believe will speak to every one of us, no matter where on this journey we're at. And there are 4 again, that you might want to write down, might want to print out, might want to hang on your bathroom mirror or post on the dashboard of your car. Again, the 3 verses that we concluded with, chapter 3, verses 17 through 19. I'll read them once again. They're so powerful. Though the fig tree does not blossom and no fruit is on the vines, though the produce of the olive fails and the fields yield no food, though the flock is cut off from the fold and there is no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will exalt in the God of my salvation. God, the Lord, is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer and makes me tread upon the heights. Maybe those are the verses. Maybe those are the words that you're clinging to right now, that you're expressing as you arrive at this place of quiet and peace amidst of maybe a life that is not quite what you anticipated or wanted. How about the end of chapter 2, verse 20? The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Maybe you're at that place where you just need to say, you know what, I don't understand any of it. I don't get what's going on, but I need to be still in this moment and allow the reality of God's presence and power to be seen and to speak to me in a moment of quiet. The beginning of verse 2, a verse that becomes very important for the writers of the New Testament. Verse 4 of chapter 2, look at the proud, their spirit is not right within them, but the righteous live by their faith. Maybe you're at a place in your faith development where you say, I don't get any of it. I don't understand where I'm at, why I'm here, but I'm going to continue to live into my faith. I'm going to continue to be faithful. And boy, this is surely a word that our generation and culture needs to hear. We are so fickle. We jump from one thing to the next, whether it's a relationship or a cause or a church congregation. We are so quick to move. And yet this ancient text, and many of the ancient texts, they celebrate a faithfulness, a consistency, a staying the course, of putting your hand to the plow and not turning back. Maybe for you right now, the verse that needs to challenge you is this one: the righteous will live by their faith. Or for some of us, maybe at the very beginning stage of our faith journey, sort of beginning to drift into this disillusionment stage, it's verse 2 of chapter 1. O Lord, how long shall I cry for help, and you will not listen, or cry to you violence, and you will not save? Maybe for some of us, that verse is what we need to give us permission to be honest and truthful with God about the things that don't make sense to us, the things that we're frustrated or upset with us about. Wherever you are in this stage of faith development, this ancient text gives such a pattern and model for us to live into as we attempt to live our faith authentically before and with God. It's through that authenticity that genuine hope is found. Hope that shows up even in the midst of the dark.
Here is where I lay it down, every burden. Surrender. Here is where I lay it down, every lie and every doubt. This is my surrender. And I will make room for you to do whatever you want to. do whatever you want to do whatever you want to, and I will make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Here is where I lay it down. You are all I'm chasing now. This is my surrender. This is my surrender. Here is where I lay it down. You are all I'm chasing now. This is my surrender. This is my surrender.
Well, that does it for this week at McLean Church Online. Special plug to remind you that right now we have McLean merch for sale. This is going on all the way through November 19th, just in time to maybe get some early Christmas shopping done. You can learn more about that using the McLean Anywhere mobile app, or also visit our website now to get your hands on some great McLean Church merchandise. I want to see pictures of our McLean Online family sporting their McLean Church gear. We'll see you next week here at McLean Church Online.